welcome to our little review of Dark Seas, a pirate-themed economic game made by AEG, designed by Anthony Rubio. I have a little rulebook here. It's very short, but that's good because this is actually a really simple game to pick up. Basically, you'll be doing a number of turns trying to become the greatest pirate captain out there. So the goal of the game is to become the most infamous pirate, and there's several ways of achieving that task. Basically, you're just trying to get straight up infamy on the track. You'll get this by resolving many of the plunder tiles that you've put down, usually paying a doubloon for a certain amount of infamy. Another way is to collect multiple sets of these treasure tokens. There's up to 4 of these out of a whole group of them, and if you have a full set, you're going to get someone like 10 points. Whereas if you only have 1 or 2, you're going to get basically 1 or 3 points. So they're not exactly worth a lot unless you match them. Dark Seas is an interesting little game. It's kind of a mixture of a rondel mechanic, engine building game, with a nice pirate theme on it. So basically when you set up the game, you'll have a number of these little colored tiles of each of these 6 symbols that will be represented on the dice that you will roll each turn. That's how you're going to kind of move your ship around the board that you construct. You'll have a number of plunder tiles and other things on there that will activate when your ship moves. You also have a central tile that goes in there where your tiny little pirate captain will go, which will give you some extra doubloons or another plunder tile. So when you set up, every player will kind of build their own personal rondel here. A rondel is kind of a mechanic that's in many board games where you will be taking a piece and kind of moving it around and taking the various actions as you go around. Now you'll only move these pieces clockwise in this game, so there'll be no going back. So it's really important to decide how you're going to set up your personal engine here. Now as you'll see, there's different colors of dice, and eventually it'll be the same facing when the improved dice come in. But in order to move from one tile to another, you have to have that facing in order to move. The other way to move is if you have your pirate captain there. And when your pirate captain's there, you are allowed to move your ship there for free, in a sense, no matter what the dice read. Now I notice that these plunder tiles kind of have a little area there on the ports where they will be activated. And as you move onto the various spaces, you'll activate 2 tiles. That's what's great about the little graphic design here, is you got this little archway that tells you where you're going to put the 2 tiles and which ones you'll activate every time you move on them. And what you'll do at the end of every turn, so long as you're in a place where you're able to, you'll be able to put down one of these tokens. And that'll give you more abilities as you progress. So when you come back around, you'll eventually activate multiple tiles for more effects. Now, some of these plunder tiles definitely have these icons there, and in this case, the more of this color right now, in the finished version of the game, or when the new dice come in, you'll actually have the matching symbol. You will also get the benefit of this little icon here, in which case this will allow you to draw more treasure tiles, pick one, and add it to your collection. Some of them are crossed swords, like we're displayed on the dice here. Those will give you more pirates to put on your little area in each of your ports. And these are represented by little white cubes. Each port can hold 4 pirates. And if you feel like, you can pay a single doubloon to upgrade that into a dread pirate who wears black. Which is awesome because he's worth an extra point at the end of the game. And if you fill up an entire port, you will get an additional point at the end of the game. Now, the thing is that a lot of this will come into that engine building mechanic that I was talking about too. In engine building, you're basically starting off with something small that works and building it better. In this case, it really depends on what strategy you want to develop points in for infamy. You can go and get a bunch of treasure tiles and try to get those all matching for the optimal points there. You could hire a bunch of pirates and turn them into dread pirates. You could just simply pay doubloons and get points. Or even mess with your players to try to keep them from getting points. What's really great though is that in a game like this there's a lot of possibilities. What I like about a rondel game is that it allows you to kind of customize your options or know what's coming up. But the fact is like when you roll the dice, whatever colors you have, that's going to dictate where you can move. Or you're going to have to use your captain to dictate where you're going to move. Because that captain is a very important piece for you. It keeps the game moving, and it keeps you from being blocked. Which is a little unfortunate in a game that should have maybe a bit more denial of resources. I mean, a legitimate strategy in this game is just to get a lot of tiles or have dice that roll all the same facing and use those tiles to gain their benefits and not even move your ship. Now, mind you, the best players in this game are going to find some sort of synergy of both. And really and truly, it doesn't have that much depth. But this is kind of great for that age range of like 12 and up. So, first impressions on this game are pretty basic. It's a great, colorful little game. It's definitely not a pirate game in any real sense. The most pirate-themed part of it is that you're trying to collect treasures, which are right here. Little tokens with little icons on the back of them. You're trying to collect sets of those for more points. You're also trying to gain pirates or dread pirates into your Legion of Pirates. These are the white and black cubes that you'll be putting on these various port tokens in these little square areas. Now, what's great about the plunder tiles is that every time you go onto one of these tiles, it'll activate 2 little tiles when you move on there. And these things are kind of like cards from your hand or activated abilities. Because when you use a plunder tile, you always have the option of using it at the beginning of your turn for its effect based on the roll. And you're going to kind of match up the color and the symbol here. And the more of that you have, you'll pay out even more of this, which in this case is more doubloons, which is the money of the game. So what you'll kind of end up doing is you'll build your little engine. Your friends will also be building their engine. And honestly, there's not a lot of player interaction in this game. Out of a whole group of tiles, which is pretty much this nice big grouping here, you only got this small stack of interactive player tiles. And usually it's just blow up one of their tiles that they're playing with, or make them lose pirates, or just tax them for money. I mean, the gameplay is pretty basically, you're going to roll your dice at the beginning of the turn, then the active player will use those dice, depending on what he rolls. You'll be rolling 4 dice every turn, and you will get various results that'll have a color and an icon attached to them. At this time, AEG kind of did something odd in production and got the wrong symbols on the dice, so things like the doubloon facing and the fighting symbol facing are off, but the colors match on the tiles. Now, one of my biggest gripes is with this scoreboard. It's a beautiful looking little scoreboard. It's got your player summary on the bottom here, and the number of rounds right side up this way, and little areas for your plunder tiles and your treasure tiles. My problem comes in with the actual scoring mechanic of it. You have this little cubed area down here, which is fine for, say, a colored cube, but you're given these wooden discs. And as you kind of try to advance them up here, with 4 players, it's going to get a little busy. And not to mention, if you hit the table at all and slide them around, you're going to lose track pretty quickly. And in a game where points really are the sole reason why you're playing for, it's really hard to justify that. It's a fun little game. It's great for couples. It's great for small groups of people, since it only holds up to 4. However, it's much like Agricola or Le Havre or any other Euro game, where you're dealing with this whole solo multiplayer game. I'm seeing a lot of potential for expansion in this, but really and truly, it doesn't really need it. It's still a really great, solid Euro game. However, it's just not quite the pirate game that people would make it out to be, much like other pirate games. I mean, you could easily replace the theme with something like Trading in the Mediterranean, and instead of having pirates on your areas, it would be various shops or custom designer shops with the Dread Pirate replacement. You could do it in space and have the exact same kind of trading theme. The fact that they put pirates on there is kind of nifty, and the treasure tiles and trying to collect the various sets of those is really a cool little mechanic thrown in there. However, when it comes down to it, at the end of the day, it's a point fest. And what you're trying to do is, in the 12 rounds of the game, you're just trying to get the most points and trying to outbest the other players. And when it comes down to that, it comes to a roll of the dice. These dice determine what you can do every turn. So it's a lot of randomosity in there. And I know a lot of players, particularly Euro players, will absolutely hate that. I mean, you're guaranteed, on average, out of the 4 dice you're rolling, at least hopefully one of the facings you want will come up. But what if the person re-rolls and suddenly they get all 4 green facings? Well, that's great for them if they have the plunder tiles to do scheming for it, because we all know that with the plunder tiles you get more effect. In summary, I want to say this. I absolutely love the idea of a pirate theme attached to this. However, it would be nice if there was more excitement to go with it. With the limited options that players have to interact with each other, it's a little hard to go, "Arr, I'm going to shoot cannons at you," or "I'm going to steal your booty," when really and truly you don't even really get any chances to do that. You steal some doubloons every now and then if you're lucky and you get on that part of your rondel. You may be able to kill other people's pirates. I mean, that's the whole point of the pirate captain being in a space other than the fact to activate tiles or to move your ship, is that he defends your pirates from bad effects. And when there's only 3 or 4 of these tiles that cause bad effects within all this myriad of tiles, you're kind of asking for something more there. It feels like, really and truly, this was a tabletop day rush. They made the parts, everything worked good. Just when they delivered, they didn't quite proof everything fully. They had the errors with the dice printing that came up, and they've openly admitted that. Thankfully, they're going to change that. I mean, that's great. But like this scoreboard, using a square scoreboard when you give them wooden discs, it's just not going to work. I can't fit this on there. I mean, yes, they stack nicely, but you need a little bit more space. And it doesn't even look like that much of a treasure map or something. You could have it go around and then around or something. And this is just a long rectangle with a round tracker in the middle. I absolutely adore this game, though. Don't get me wrong. And I'm being critical on it because I do like it so much. It's got tons of strategies. It plays just the right amount of time for this kind of game. It doesn't go too long, doesn't go too short. I love the randomosity of those dice, and the tiles are well thought out. I just wish there was more. More options. That's what I want. And I think everyone else out there who picks this game up probably is going to want just a bit more. So if AEG is listening, definitely give us some teasers for a possible expansion someday. I know I'd probably pick it up. Thank you for listening to my review of Dark Seas. I hope you pick it up and have a great time with it. If you need any suggestions on where to go to get the proper dice, make sure you contact AEG make sure you contact AEG's support, and they'll probably send you a new set of dice as soon as they get them in. However, for the scoreboard, maybe make your own. This is one of those games where you can definitely kind of make a bit more accessible for people to pick up. One thing, for instance, take all these lovely, lovely treasure tiles and plunder tiles and get 2 little baggies for them, because really and truly, they're going to be randomly shuffled up anyways, which is going to need you to probably want to invest in a baggie so you can grab them out. And when they're discarded, just put them off to the side.